If I remember correctly, one of the discussion topic in the Memorial Weekend retreat was about lying. So in that, in our small discussion group, I share with my people that I'm not really interested in the lie itself. What I really interested in knowing why I lie and what the reason behind them. And then I said, as a monastic, I really want to know whether I lie to myself about my spiritual practice, study, offering service, and own aspect of my monastic life. And I'm very grateful for that discussion topic because it really motivates me to really investigate, explore, and reflect on that topic, self-deception, and that is what I want to talk today about. I know it's not easy to go deep into this topic, but I try my best. And one of the many quotes I found on the internet, and one of them really struck me. It said, "The worst of all deception is self-deception." And that really hit me very hard. So I found one article on the internet by Greg Van Nurek, "Self-Deception, why we do it and how to stop it." He said, "We all do it. We engage in self-deception, hiding the truth from ourselves about our true feelings, motives, or circumstances. When we are deceiving ourselves, we are denying evidence, logic, or reality, and rationalizing choices or behavior to serve a false narrative. We are not seeing or viewing things accurately. Our self-deception can be conscious or unconscious, controlled or automatic, acute or chronic." He continues saying, "Self-deception is often a defense mechanism used for self-protection, and it can be used for self-enhancement. But it often becomes a form of self-sabotage and betrayal because it denies reality. When we deceive ourselves, we become our own enemy, posing as a friend. Self-deception can involve denial of hard truth, minimization of painful matters, or projection onto others." So I think for my initial reflection on self-deception, I use his outline to help me with that. And then later, when I have more time, I will use his guidance as maybe as an initial step to help me further investigate into this one. So then I spent quite maybe 2 or 3 sessions to reflect on why do I lie myself as a self-protection. I found out that all the white lies that I told, what I tried to make an excuse to cover my ethical downfalls, my mistake, my fault, my weakness, all rationalizations, just and more, just to protect a sense of self and what belongs to self, that I, me, my, especially my self-image and reputation. And how about self-enhancement? I might try to exaggerate my good qualities, my skill and talents. I try to praise myself or especially pretend to be a good practitioner. So what are the hard truths that I try to hide from myself? I will focus on, first of all, my practice. So in my early monastic life, I think I practiced just for the sake of practicing. I dragged myself to the hall, meditation hall, because I have to follow the schedule. I found out my practice was very shallow and superficial. And especially during the Varsava retreat, my main focus was to get that 100,000 mantra done instead of focusing on purification. So a few years ago in my BBC, I thought that, it was because of my unrealistic resolution, but it turned out, I think I lied to myself, only to get that done. For my study, it's the same purpose. I just study just for the sake of studying. I try to kill time, because it is a study time, I better use it. And then for my offering service, I think I got either caught up in the excitement or the enthusiasm I feel about the work project I'm working, or either I was so indifferent and waiting for the offering service period to be over. And then I think I got confused between my role and responsibility at the Abbey as my spiritual progress. And when I was doing some Lamrim topic of that advanced level, I thought I consider myself an advanced practitioner. I pretend that I was very clear about my direction and purpose of my practice. And when and then I think I also blame that offering service make me exhausted, but it turned out that I'm exhausted from my affliction and rumination. And then my motivation indeed didn't come from my heart. It's just mere words. So I try to, so it's just I make up on the motivation. And was I truthful about my emotion and feelings in my early monastic life? I don't think so. I was not transparent about my emotion or feeling. When people look at my face, they can tell right away, but I pretend I was okay. So I said, I'm okay, but actually, wow, I was so resentful or jealous or angry. And wow, this is really shocking. But now I think I would like to share about some pretty good truth about my practice. So these past few years, I found that I've been practicing more sincerely. I practice with more understanding, and I practice more with integrity. And it's pretty quite helpful. For my study, I think the purpose of my studying the Buddha teaching is not to gain or my intellectual knowledge, but I have a wholesome desire to really understand. I really want to understand the Buddha teaching fully and properly. And if I'm confused, or I'm lost, I don't pretend that I'm understanding the Buddha teaching. I will try different sources and try to reflect and meditate on the teaching so that I can understand it better. And for my offering service, I see that all the offering services, cooking, doing chore, washing dishes are an extension of my practice and as an opportunity for enhancing my monastic training. And to be honest with you, I'm so grateful that I'm more truthful to my emotion and feelings. I don't want to lie. For example, before, if I will try to make an excuse saying I'm not feeling well, but actually I didn't feel like it. So if I was not able to go to the morning practice, it's about, for example, before I'm going to say, oh, I'm not feeling well, but actually I got exhausted from affliction and rumination. I didn't sleep well. So now I'm saying, hey, I'm very clear that I'm not feeling well, that I'm sick or something. It's not about my affliction and rumination. So I think I would like to share the 5 sides of self-deception. That somehow is very difficult, very hard to detect. He said, if we try to keep making excuses for ourselves, if we can accept responsibility for things, or we keep blaming others. And then I think there are 2 more things that we can we deceive ourselves when that. But then for the first 3, keep making excuses for myself. I think there are many, many examples that I can share. But I remember when I was asked to lead the morning practice or to give a BBC, my excuse was, oh, English is my second language. I'm very shy, and my biggest fear is public speaking. But the truth is, I'm not confident to lead the morning practice or to give a BBC. And then I cannot accept responsibility for things. For example, if I'm behind in cooking lunch, I will say, oh, because I got distracted, the helper asked me many questions, rather than saying, like, oh, I don't manage the time well. And then I keep blaming others, like, oh, people drive me crazy, instead of saying, hey, my affliction, I blame the pie and grass pollen for my allergy, but indeed, my allergy are my problems. And then I keep, the 4th and the 5th one are very nice, very good one. They said, keep avoiding unpleasant realities. Of course, I cannot accept aging gracefully. So whatever I do, before I ordain, I will try it, wasting a lot of time, energy, and resources for that. And then instead of saying, I try to understand emptiness, I say, I'm not interested in learning emptiness. Instead of saying, oh, it's too difficult, I need to learn, or something like that. And the last one, feel defensive or threatened when people challenge us. I could share 2 nice examples about that. So of course, when I promised verbal children that I'm going to give a BBC, I told her I do it once a month. But then when I saw on the BBC rota that I'm supposed to give 2 BBC a month, I felt like, oh, I felt threatened, because I said, oh, it used to take me a few days to work on my BBC. Now how can I have time to do that? And then when verbal children encourage us to not to read, give a BBC, not to read from our note, I feel like defensive. But actually, it's just a feedback. It's an encouragement. But I saw that as a threat, because somehow I've been reading it from my BBC. I cannot share my thought. So it's amazing. I'm not sure whether I better. So there are many more things to share, like where our self-deception comes from, and the high cost of self-deception. But I think I'm going to skip that because I think we don't have time. I want to say the high cost of self-deception as a monastic is it will lead me to a downward spiral for further self-deception. And I think for me, if I continue doing that, it will lead me to continue deceiving others, including not just myself. And I can see that I'm a fake practitioner and an unworthy recipient. And the worst of all, if I continue to lie myself about my spiritual practice, it might lead me to disrobe. And it's a really major obstacle for my spiritual development. So today, I'm very grateful that I have the courage self-respect, integrity, transparency, and honesty, to be very truthful with myself, especially my spiritual development and my monastic life. And I think that is a great sign to help me to progress on the path of awakening, and it is really possible.